Hello, hello. Welcome back to the HoodAstroQueen, to all of my returning subscribers. But if this is your first time joining me on today, go ahead, hit that subscribe button because you know you want to. I'm your girl Megan, and today I am going to complete my series, and this is pretty much just a continuation of my experiences dating men through each of the signs, okay? So we left off at Leo. Leo men are annoying. And by annoying, I mean their constant need for external validation and to just constantly have their ego stroked is overwhelming. Okay. These men come equipped with a need for an innate desire for attention. And I guess you can say that to be true, more or less for all Leos, both male and female. But specifically with dealing with a Leo male, depending on the other configurations of his chart, these men can be literally held hostage by their ego. Now, it's not a coincidence that Leo is governed by the sun. The sun in astrology does represent the ego, right? The sun is everything. I mean, it's the center of our solar system. So as a result, everything is going to revolve around it. And these people are no different. I love using that analogy because you have your Leo male who is on the more positive side. I'm going to cut y'all some slack. Witty, charming, right? Very much a crowd pleaser, but unintentionally. Like, these people are very just enchanting. He's a guy that he can work a crowd, and he just naturally has this ability to kind of hypnotize other people. And this is why you'll find a lot of celebrities with very prominent Leo influence in their charts, because there's this just je ne sais quoi that you can't really put your finger on, but they have that it factor. So these men could possibly be involved in the entertainment business. They could absolutely be involved in careers that are like, very showmanship, where they're in leadership positions or they're in the forefront of something. But on the more negative side, if they're not really centered men, not really centered people, and these are just the Leo men I've experienced, they tend to be very, when the attention is not on them, their true colors show, and they get desperate, and they act out in ways that are just dramatic. They can be drama queens. They can try to manipulate situations in order to put themselves in the best light. I remember I wouldn't even call it full out dating. Like, he really didn't make it past the vetting process because I couldn't deal. I could not take it. So there are two stories I want to tell you about. First story, I was in college and I was like hanging out with this group of guys, I guess you could say. And I mean, they were cool. I mean, to be honest, like, I was the homegirl, like the tomboy homegirl before it was popular to be that. Meaning, I had plenty of male friends who I did not fuck, okay? Weren't fucking their friends. So I just have to make that distinction because, that's like kind of the popular thing to be these days. But anywho. So, I was hanging out with them over the summer. And I used to go over one guy's house in particular. We play games. All his friends come over. We smoke a little yang and just talk shit and chill. So one day in particular, he brings a new group of guys because he actually sold weed. So he brought a new group of guys to the house who I'm guessing they were copping from him. And one guy, we're just going to let's call him Trevor. So Trevor came with somebody who's supposed to be his best friend, I guess, trying to cop some. And, we're sitting down and everybody's talking. And of course, we get to talking about life, right? And I see that Trevor is trying to flirt with me. And Trevor wasn't an ugly guy. He was decent looking. But, just the way that I am. And once again, maybe this just goes back to me being a Sagittarius sun. I'm a Libra rising. So I do have this tendency to come off as flirtatious, even when I'm not trying to be. Okay, so I'm literally just engaging everybody in conversation, laughing. You're so funny. And I guess he is kind of intimidated by the fact that I'm paying more attention to his friend than I was him. And he literally goes in the middle of the conversation, like he stands up and he looks at the friend, the dude that he came with. He was like, damn, can I fucking speak? The fuck? Like, and we all kind of just stopped because it came out of nowhere. Everybody's high, everybody's happy, everybody's like, you know, just chilling, right? And he just like, it was just so weird, so awkward. And his friend was like, nigga, what the fuck? Like, what is wrong with you, bruh? Like, and it was just weird. It was really weird. And long story short, we exchanged numbers. And shortly after that, like I said, I when I came to find he was a Leo sun, I'm like, okay, makes sense. And then he would just do things. Like I said, he was just very insecure about his standing. And if all of my attention wasn't focused on him, it was a problem. And he was just the ultimate drama queen. I could not. Story number 2, and this is more recently. This is maybe about 2 or 3 years ago. And why are all of these people connected to me like by weed? By way of me smoking marijuana. But the second dude, he actually used to sell edibles. And I don't even really know how I met him. I met him through a friend. And so basically, this dude, you could tell he was a flirt. He was pretty attractive. Like, he wasn't necessarily my type, but he was a cute guy. And he was very charming. Once again, that Leo charm, right? Very, I guess you could say engaging. You know, he was great with conversation. And he used to throw these parties that were pretty lit. Like, once again, being that Leo, that charmer, these people love to be the center of attention. They love to do lavish things, go all out. So he would throw these bomb ass parties, hella liquor, top shelf liquor, all the weed you can think of, all of the people you can think of, you know, playing games. I mean, just an all around fun environment. And I would go to these parties and I would notice that he would flirt with me. And I kind of got the vibe that he was a thought, you know what I'm saying? So I honestly never really took him seriously. And we followed each other on Facebook, and he would just drop like little playful comments whenever he would see me post or under my pictures. And one day I just decided to play back. You know, once again, it's literally not like I seriously like this guy. Mind you, flirting is like a sixth sense for me. Sometimes, like I said before, I do it and I don't realize I'm doing it, or people might perceive it to be that way. And then when I actually am doing it, you know, it's not that deep, I guess you could say. I don't really have to enjoy you and like you and want to pursue you as a person to, you know, I like to make people feel good about themselves. So that's just really that tea. And, you know, kind of to reciprocate the fact that, nigga, you're always flirting with me. So I just felt like being nice and being gracious. So he made a status and he had said, I don't even know like what he said, but I dropped I made a comment and I put it down below, and I was like, you know, oh, like something to the effect of like, oh, so you mean, you my boo, right? You know, something really like trivial, jovial, juvenile. Like I said, the fact that I can't remember exactly word for word what his status was about and what I said lets you know how significant it was, right? And, so yeah, what I noticed was that, like, long story short, like, I was getting like attacked by other women, and like another woman is like specifically not really attacked, but you know, she was talking sideways at her neck, and he was trying to save face because I'm assuming this is a girl that he's dealing with on an intimate level. So he tried to make it seem like he didn't really know me, he didn't really rock with me like that, or maybe he tried to make it seem to her like I liked him. And so as a result, not only did I have to, you know what I'm saying, set shit straight with Miss Thing, but I also had to let him know where I stood with him, which was, bitch, go die. Like, you know what I'm saying? You know, like, we're not even going to go there, okay? This is before Megan kind of fully matured into, like, the spiritual being that I am today, you know, so that's just what it was. But it all came down to him enjoying that attention, just like Leo men, like, enjoying that drama, enjoying just even though it was completely false. I am not fighting over you. I don't want you. It's not that deep. you are a Thotimus Prime, as I suspected, but that need to have his ego stroked, you know, and to be just completely catty and drama filled in the process. Leo men get riddance. It's just disgusting. I can't with Leo men. I know that took a minute, but I had a testimony that I really had to get out my spirit. So there's that. Virgo. I love Virgo men. Like, I just, here's just something very interesting. First of all, number one, I'm a Virgo moon. So that Virgo energy, I really resonate with. But some of the best experiences I've had in my life have been with Virgo sun individuals, men. So some women, but mostly men. And I enjoy their intellectual. First of all, I've never met a dumb Virgo. Okay. Male or female, but specifically male. I've never met a stupid, like a Virgo who's just like, yes, I can't do nothing with you. I can't talk to you. These men are even if they're not by like traditional standards, like educated, like, oh, I went to college. Oh, I have a PhD. These men are self-taught because Virgo is governed by Mercury. Mercury is the natural ruler of the third house, which deals with communication. It deals with lower level learning. It deals with, even like media, and these men are just amazing. And with Mercury ruling the hands, a lot of times I find that they're amazing, like creators. So these men could even be like writers, or they could be painters, but they're often very creative. And just on a celebrity level, literally almost all of my celebrity crushes, like men wives, are Virgos. Like Wiz Khalifa. If you know me, you know Wiz Khalifa is bae. He's literally my baby zaddy. You understand me? I will lay hands on Amber Rose little bald headed ass over Wiz. Like, that's my bae. Like, you know what I'm saying? Same thing with Big Crit. These men, I don't know them. And depending on what else is going on in their charts, obviously is going to mitigate a lot of these personality traits. But in Megan's head that likes to fantasize, right? I would just imagine them to be, to live up to that Virgo archetype. Like I said, very intelligent, very studious. Now, one of the drawbacks that just to be fair, that I don't really care for in Virgo men is, Virgo is all about, it carries a very critical energy signature, which is why a lot of people who either are Virgos or have strong Virgo energy in their chart can be like self-deprecating. A lot of times these people have very tough expectations on themselves, right? So as a result, it's easy for them to pick other people apart and kind of hold other people to impossible standards. They can be very judgmental. They can be very much kind of, rigid a little bit in the way that they see the world. And I don't care for that, right? And of course, this can bleed over into partnerships. And, I dated a Virgo before, and he definitely displayed some of the darker qualities as far as wanting to be able to, and a lot of times it comes from a place, like a good place, right? Of wanting to help, and you feel like you're improving other people, or you're helping to improve their life by giving them this piece of advice, not really understanding that everybody is going to receive things differently. And, what's a problem to you or what should be corrected to you isn't going to be that way to somebody else. And like I said, with me having a Virgo moon, I understand it because to a degree I do it too. But and also another drawback with Virgo men that I noticed that has been an issue for me dating them is Virgos are very preachy. They tend to be very preachy, and also depending on what else is going on in their chart, but they enjoy being like intellectually superior, right? It's that Mercury thing. So, and Mercury rules Gemini also. So I kind of similar to Gemini, whereas Gemini men like to impress you with all the things that they know, right? Like, oh, let me spew out like lots of random ass information on various topics and, impress you with how much I know. Virgo men are, they might know a lot of things, but their scope of like expertise is very specific, and it's kind of like a tedious kind of knowledge. They know the most intricate details. They're very detail oriented. They're fixated on lots of like the nuances of certain things. So these are the type of people, when you're talking about or you're discussing a certain subject, will like to correct you. They like to show you like, oh, you thought you knew this, but let me, because I have such a fundamental understanding of what we're talking about, let me spill the real tea and let you know, like, let me impart some wisdom on you, grasshopper. And that's where we would clash, because as a Sagittarian, I naturally am just predisposed to being preachy. I don't like being wrong. I actually like to be the person that's imparting the wisdom. Not to say that I can't learn from anybody. This isn't an excuse, but this is just something I've observed about myself. Instinctively, whenever I'm talking to people or men really, and I feel like they're like, I don't know, they're taking this like teacher role, come on now, Sagittarius, ruler of the ninth house, higher level of education, like, I am thy teacher. Like, what are you, like, what, this is not going to work. So it's kind of like a battle of like us flexing our intellectual superiority. And then, with me having a Virgo moon as well. So me and this said guy, Virgo guy, would literally like, oh my God, conversations surrounding the things I like to talk about, really, politics, religion, blah, blah, blah. They became kind of like a headache. Not because, there weren't things I could learn from it, or because he wasn't well versed in certain things and he couldn't carry conversations. It was just kind of like, we would kind of participate in what I like to call like intellectual bullying. We would just kind of like be sarcastic and flex our knowledge over certain topics with one another, and kind of like just in very kind of weird, passive aggressive way. It was just weird. But that's the only thing I can say that I think kind of turns me off a little bit from Virgo men. But overall, y'all are amazing. Yeah, and call me or hit me hit my inbox. I'm trying to see something. If you're a Virgo male, let me know something. Okay. Libra men are they're thottimus primes. Okay, and one thing that I find to be very interesting is that because Libra is the natural ruler of the seventh house, right? It's ruled by Venus, and Venus is literally the planet of like pleasure, beauty, just the things you find joy in life, even wealth sometimes. It kind of I guess you could say shows up differently in men versus women. I noticed that a lot of Libra women, although they can, because you got to think about it, it's air. So even though these people are relationship oriented, they still take very light, I guess you can say light approaches to how they form relationships with other people. So these people can be intellectuals. These men tend to be very, they like to talk. They like to, they're very expressive. They like to connect with other people. But Libra women tend to be more prone towards like relationships. Or just being relationship oriented in like a traditional way, like being more willing to commit to one person. While Libra men tend to veer towards like I said, that thottimus prime kind of archetype. Like, whenever I see a lot of Libra in a man's chart, especially if like the planet has a lot of negative aspects to it, it's a strong indicator of, number one, him being very like loose with just, I don't want to say his morals, but just as far as him being faithful. It can indicate like third party situations. But then number two, it can also indicate somebody who's very flexible with their sexuality. Because I noticed that as well with Libra men. And celebrity wise, there are countless examples of Libra men who, I mean, honestly, it hasn't been confirmed, but have been rumored for a very long time from numerous different sources in Hollywood to swing both ways. Is there going to be every Libra man? Obviously not. Obviously, it depends on what else is going on in the rest of his chart. But I find it to be very, very interesting. A lot of the Libra men that I know tend to be pretty good liars just because of Libra's just that natural ability to dress shit up and to make anything sound beautiful and eloquent. So lying tends to come quite easily to them. And like I said, it's just this theme of them not really being able to completely be like in or out of a situation. So that indecisiveness, these are men who could be caught in between like a past lover and you know, or like they're talking to you but still dating their or texting their ex-girlfriend or something like that. Or as I stated before, like can kind of backpedal their way into like a third party situation. Like it's weird and I don't fuck with it at all. At all. And a lot of them, I will say, also tend to share certain similar qualities with Aquarius men in the fact that Libra, because it's symbolized by those scales, right? They really like justice and they enjoy almost kind of like a, and I've heard a lady named Rabina Rastafan, she's another astrologer on YouTube. I've heard her refer to Libras as the human rights activists, I think she said, of the zodiac. And I can absolutely see that too, because that fight for balance makes them very, they like really value fairness. You know what I'm saying? And they can be the type to speak up on behalf of other people. But, you know, like T.I., for example, you can tell because he's a Libra sun, and you can tell that he very much has that, like, I'm going to speak, and I always call him Tip Luther King, like, because he's going to speak up for injustices everywhere around the world. But, you know, he's also kind of an airhead, which Libra men have a tendency to be also, like, you know, and so it's like he's speaking up for injustices all over the world, but he has a very shallow and one-dimensional perspective of like just his views and his outlooks on life, and it's just annoying, and it really makes him come off as actually like, you know, one of those smart dumb people. And yeah, it's annoying. Not, of course, not to say every Libra man is unintelligent, but you know, that's just my experience with Libra males. So overall, y'all can miss me. I'll definitely do a hard pass on Libra men. Scorpios. I love Scorpio men, and well, maybe it's a love-hate relationship, and maybe that, you know, I think that they would like that, just because Scorpio, much like Leo, I find tends to thrive off of drama and intensity, but more so Scorpio with the intensity part, right? So Scorpio men tend to be very, very mysterious, and I notice a lot of them have a je ne sais quoi. And even, you know, because I've dealt with a couple of Scorpio like sun men, but then I've also dealt with men who had like Scorpio stelliums, Scorpio moons, you know, all of that stuff. All like every configuration of Scorpio you can think of. And I myself have my Mars and Pluto conjoined in the sign of Scorpio. And it's something about that. I love mystery. Because I naturally want to figure people out, right? I like to kind of play, I don't want to say mind games, but even anybody, when I meet you, when I talk to you, I like to assign meaning to shit. You know, I like to create like a profile, an understanding of who I think you are, and that'll kind of help me better understand how to handle you and engage with you. With Scorpio men, the cards aren't going to be on the table like that. You know, they strategically reveal certain parts of their personalities based off of how much they like you, even, just how much they want you to know, quite frankly. And of course, this could be a good thing. Like I said, the mystery and it just really intrigues me. And I think that's a lot of women, who like the bad boy prototypes. And, oh, girl, he's just it's something about him, girl. I just don't know what it is, girl. Like, he won't just lay down and let me run all over him. We enjoy that. But it can go left. And this is like part of my love-hate relationship with Scorpio men. It can go left because Scorpio is co-ruled by Pluto. It's also, like I said, the lower octave of Mars. And so there is this kind of ongoing dynamic of, like I said, drama, death, birth, recycles. So a need to create intense experiences within the relationship. Even obsessive compulsiveness. It can, very, very extreme cases, it can lead to different forms of abuse, emotional abuse. It can breed a very toxic relationship. And these men, depending on what's going on and what they're, if they're lighter beings or if they're, living in their lower nature, they have the potential to be predatory men. They can be very controlling, very manipulative, in just a very, like I said, cold, calculated kind of way. So even if they do have the personality types that seemingly are passive, right? And, they take a very kind of backseat approach to the relationship. They're pretty laid back, or even worse, if their communication skills aren't up to par, these are men who can harbor resentment. They can harbor anything you do. And it could be something that's seemingly small to you, right? If they view it as something that's kind of like a chink in their armor, or they feel like they've, I guess you could say, let down their guard a little bit and they feel violated. It could be something as simple as you didn't tell them where you were going on today, and they just feel like, that was their personal litmus test for the relationship, and you didn't do that. So now they're triggered because they were violated in the past, and now he's going to internalize those things, and later on, even possibly after you done forgot, you're not even thinking about it, later on in the relationship, now he's weaponizing it against you, or he's doing other things to kind of get back at you, or maybe now he's going out and he's spending all night long not coming home, and his rationale is, well, she didn't that one time, so whatever, payback's a bitch, ain't it? Just little shit like that. It can range from little small passive aggressive behavior to, like I said, just on the extreme cases on a major level, being verbally, emotionally abusive, manipulative. Some celebrities that come to mind are Stevie J, especially with him being on every season of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, with the exception of recently, because obviously he's married to, what's her name? Faith Evans now. But, I mean, he was a pimp. He was a pimp. He would get on there with Jocelyn. I mean, he would have these women that, good and hell well, nobody is looking, nobody is clamoring to hear these women in their music. They're not talented, but he's promising these strippers, these women who come from very destitute, desperate kind of backgrounds, right? Sex workers. Not saying Jocelyn was a sex worker, but you know what I mean. Maybe she was, who knows? But he's promising them fortune and fame and the world, and in order just to kind of keep them where he wants them, and he likes to create these little toy dolls, these little playthings. Even after Jocelyn, I think he did it with some other Hispanic chick. He enjoys kind of strategically, emotionally blackmailing people. Even when you look at how he did Mimi, putting her in that situation with Jocelyn, and it was just creepy. It was this creepy, obsessive controller, because when it came down to Mimi, he liked to have all of this input on her life. But another celebrity that I'm thinking about too is Future. Future is another dark-sided Scorpio, and He's very much manipulative. He's emotionally abusive. Whenever a woman does something to him that, gets him upset, he gets on FaceTime or he gets on Snapchat rather, and, he's making little slick comments. He's telling his baby mother, she's stupid for doing it, but, telling his baby mother stuff like, well, you can either cry in a Benz or you can cry in a Honda. Like leveraging, money and emotions and all that other shit to kind of keep women where he wants them. And he engages in some very weird power plays, but that's all of it is very much dark-sided Scorpio behavior in men. And that's the part that I hate. That's what I don't like. But I love the passion and I love the intent, because on the opposite side, when a Scorpio man loves you, he really loves you, and it's very intense. And that's kind of why they get this reputation for being so good in bed, because it's not necessarily that they have to be promiscuous or they have to be, the nigga with the biggest dick or he's doing all, but these men are just passionate. They're very passionate, and they want you. It's almost like a spiritual act. They look at sex as a spiritual act. So if they're a lighter side Scorpio, it'll be an even transaction. You're getting something, you're getting a spiritual transaction, as is he. But, if they're of the darker Scorpio nature, these men are straight up sexual vampires. They will fuck you, suck your soul, suck your emotions, like I said, manipulate you, kind of toy with you until they're done with your dead carcass and just will discard you to the wasteland. And that's just the long and short of it. Drake as well. Like, these men are very obsessed with sex, and from what I find, a lot of Scorpio men tend to be either sex addicts or, just like I said, just intrigued with sex and experimental with sex. And sometimes these men can also, similar to Libra, have tendencies to go both ways, because Scorpio governs the anus. So, and it's the natural ruler of the 8th house, which represents death. It represents sex, taboo, so they can be drawn towards very taboo experiences. So there's that. But overall, I love Scorpio men, and I feel like they do get a bad rep. And I'm rocking with Scorpios heavy. Now, finally, Sagittarius. Sagittarius men are supreme thoughts. They are sluts. They are self-righteous whores. Sagittarius men are hypocrites of just ridiculous proportions. These men, because I've dated one who nearly ruined my life. He nearly ruined my life. And even when I remove my personal bias from the situation, just objectively speaking, when I look at, number one, friends that I've had or people I've hung around who are Sagittarius males, and then celebrities who are Sagittarius men. Think Offset, think The Game, think, I'm trying to think of some other ones, but you get the picture. Men who have issues with committing themselves to one woman. Once again, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. That Jupiter influence enlarges everything. So on the more positive side, it makes these people very charming, right? Sagittarius men can be the funniest people you would ever meet. And that can be dangerous because these niggas will laugh you right out your panties, okay? So depending on what type of woman you are. So like if you are like an Aries, you have lots of Aries energy in your chart, sis. Are you a Sagittarius woman yourself? I would advise any fire, if you're a fire sign woman or you have lots of fire energy in your chart, or if you have a fair amount of air in your chart as a woman, go for it. Maybe. Not Libras. Libras, stay away from the Sagittarius men. They don't mean you no good. Okay. I did a reading on Queen Naja, her boo. She's a Libra. He's a Sag. I also, I didn't do a synastry reading on Cardi and Offset, but she's a Libra, he's a Sag. Libra women, leave these niggas alone. You can not listen to me if you want to, okay? But when you're crying and when you're alone at night wondering where you went wrong in life because this nigga is shitting on you and not respecting your boundaries and you're over compromising yourself to stay in a relationship with community dick, okay? I want you to come back to this video and just watch it. And just remember that I told your ass, leave these niggas alone. And you have to be a special breed of woman. If you are Cancer women, leave these niggas alone. If you are not built for just like if you are emotionally easily attached, you know what I'm saying? Leave them alone, sis. If you like to form bonds and, you know, impress others with how fair and even-handed you can be in relationship, don't do it. If you are the clingy type, you don't even have to be the clingy type. You could just be an ordinary woman who's expecting just mediocre things like, I don't know, love, commitment. Don't leave these niggas alone. And this is not to demonize Sagittarius men, because as I said, they are fun, they are witty, they are charming, intelligent. They're another one. I've never met just a stupid Sagittarius man. I've never met one. So similar to Virgo in that respect, but their intelligence is more so, it's more of a wisdom. So let me say that. Where Virgo is intelligent, Sagittarius men are just naturally wise. They just naturally know shit, you know, even if they aren't traditionally educated. Even with Offset, I was looking at his Breakfast Club interview. You can tell he has a certain level of wisdom about him that the other Migos just don't have, or maybe they just don't show. But yeah, like these are very wise men. But they also, because you have to think about it, Sagittarius is half man, half beast. They have huge sexual appetites, they just have an overall huge lust for life. And these are men who can, especially since we live in a climate where men are already socialized to be like thoughts, you know, it's okay. Like to, you know, the side chick culture, have your side chick. Go be a thought if you're a man, right? Sow your royal oats. It's a part of being a man. Boys will be boys. When you add that to like our societal conditioning, you know, if they don't have other factors in their chart to kind of mitigate that, they can be just out and out, just whores. Like, you know, dating all kinds of women, not really. And they'll be, when they're with you, you'll feel like they love you. Because like I said, they're so fun, so generous, you know, and that's another thing. They're very charitable, have huge hearts. Similar to Leo, they will give you the shirts off of their back. So when you're with them, you're feeling like, wow, he's just the total package. He's just the bee's knees. Wow. But girl, the minute you are no longer in his sight, girl, he's giving all that love and joy and sweetness and wisdom to another bitch. And it's probably a bitch who looks nothing like you, because these men are attracted to all kinds of women. So you could be 110 pounds and find out that your Sagittarius man has been cheating on you with a bitch like pushing 320. You see what I'm saying? They like a variety of different things, an assortment of different flavors. These men, you know, are very much, like I said, they're hard to settle down. It's so hard. And in the event that they do, it's literally a lifelong battle for them to like really engage in the relationship. Because once again, similar to Aquarius, Sagittarius doesn't like hot and heavy feelings. And anytime that they feel like they're somebody expects certain things of them, they run. That's the quickest way to get rid of them. So yeah, that could pose the issue in relationships where you're expecting, especially if you're a woman who puts a lot of value on like, you know, like you have very clear expectations. You want consistency. You want, you know, Sagittarius men want to wake up and do whatever the fuck they want to do that day, and they need a bitch who's going to be down for the ride. And if that's you, that doesn't make you a bad person, sis. I actually tip my hat off to you, because that means you probably have similar values. You probably don't look at relationships in traditional ways, or, you know, you just know who you're dealing with and you can adapt, and it is what it is. The Sagittarius male that I dealt with, I met him on my 20th birthday. Y'all, I am 27 years old. I literally just like blocked him and deleted his number out my phone last month. Okay? Last month. I have been fucking this nigga on and off, just in between relationships, and like an idiot, I didn't realize until like almost a decade later that I had been strung along and partial, like I take partial responsibility, right? You know, people can only do what you allow them to do. But on the other hand, I am no stupid bitch. And not only I don't think I'm stupid, I'm also not really the type of person who is like a very, like I said, emotionally attached, and I have to form, really clingy. Like, I have what I would think is a pretty, I guess you could say, alternative view and stance on relationships. I don't necessarily have to be in like, I guess you could say, one-on-one monogamous relationship and blah, 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 blah. But yeah, it was just weird because I would notice, anytime it came down to like creating plans for the future, he would so eloquently gaslight me. And it was a level of gaslighting that I've never experienced before. And that's how I know he's really good at it, because it's kind of hard to gaslight me because I've seen everything almost just about when it comes to men anyway. Done everything, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. And the fact that this nigga was able to slip through the cracks all this time without being like clocked the way he needed to be clocked was a problem. And, a lot of it was the peen. I was digmatized all of these years, but still, like, I just was like, wow, like, enough is enough. Like, I cannot let this nigga ruin my life. I just can't. I can't. And we had so much fun, once again, that Sagittarius shit. I mean, we would debate. We both love politics. We both love spirituality. Every time I looked up, he was reading a book. So we kind of had like this little, not a book club, but, we would like bounce ideas off of each other. Oh, where are you at? Barnes and Noble. Oh, okay, get this book. Oh, you read this? Get this book. Like leveling one another up. And I just thought he was so intelligent. And he is. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, he's so cultured. He's so refined. And he was very witty, like very witty. Like, I mean, all of that Sagittarian charm, all of it. And just friendly. I remember being in his bed one night after we just got done, doing a deal. And you know how like, you're like not really asleep, but not really awake rather. It's like that weird in between kind of phase where like you're not really, one foot's in the dream world and another foot is in like right here in this dimension. And I remember him getting a phone call and he jumped up and there was a woman on the phone and he didn't have her on speakerphone. So the bitch had to be mad because she was like mad loud. And she was like, Stefan, oh, I'm calling his whatever. Stefan, whatever. And I'm like, is he answering? Like, is this really happening? Like, I know we're not committed, but are you really like talking to another woman? Like right now? Like at this moment? It couldn't wait? So like, oh my God, like that's just, anywho. So yes, this concludes, because I'm literally just ranting at this point. This concludes my experience dating the men through all the signs, right? So drop down in the comment section below. Let me know your personal experiences. Do you know any ain't shit Sagittarius men? If you are Sagittarius men, this is the part where you tell me how you're so different. And this is not you. I'm not describing you in any shape, way, form, or fashion. So yeah, make sure you practice unconditional self-love so that you can love others. And until next time,